It always comes back to keep following your heart, because what I see, especially with my background in yoga therapy and Eastern medicine, is if we are not following our heart, our body will tell us, like we'll end up physical symptoms, anxiety, depression, that sort of stuff, because we're not living out our purpose, our divine purpose. And so we are being called somewhere for a reason, or called to something for a reason. I'll help you get six figures if you want it, but that's not going to be my marketing, because that's not me. It's more about that really coming back to yourself and following your divine purpose.
Hey, Entreleaders, happy Wednesday, and welcome to another episode of the Leaders Lab podcast. If you are new here, I am your host, Dr. Charity C. Campbell, better known as Dr. C, and I am a doctor of management, a world-class millennial global leader, an academic professional, and a multi-passionate entrepreneur. And here in the Leaders Lab, we talk all things entreleadership, which is entrepreneurship and leadership concepts combined, communication, and balance as a millennial professional. And if you are ready to learn about birthing a business as a deep excavation of your soul, then stay tuned, because in today's episode, our special guest is here to help us identify the intersection of pricing and self-worth, how to attract clients that light you up, and using marketing strategies that work. Our guest is none other than Alyssa Pfennig. She is an intuitive business coach and certified yoga therapist, living her best life with her daughter in Mexico. She empowers women to share their unique medicine with the world by birthing their dream business through a combination of self-mastery, intuition, clarity, and marketing systems. She has brought several businesses to life, including creating, expanding, and then selling a 2,500 square foot yoga studio and wellness center for six figures, and launching a digital marketing business and online programs that set the stage for her digital nomad life. Entre leaders, please put your hands together and help me welcome to the Leaders Lab our special guest for today, Alyssa Pfennig. Welcome to the Leaders Lab, love.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's absolutely our pleasure. So you're in Mexico right now, huh?
I am. I'm in the Central Highlands, right in the heart of Mexico.
Wow. In 2005, I went to study abroad in Monterrey, Mexico.
Oh,
One of the
okay.
most beautiful cities I have ever seen in my life, surrounded by mountains. As a matter of fact, they call it La Ciudad de las Montañas, right? The city of mountains.
Yes.
And it's just amazing. I miss Mexico, and the food was so good there.
The food is amazing. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So how did you get started with all of this? I mean, you've had a lot of success, and now you are living the digital nomad life, as I am as well. But yours probably has a little more, seems like you might have a little more vacation or fun times, because you've made, you've sold a business and done some other things. So how did you get started?
Yeah, well, it doesn't evolve overnight, as you probably know, in building a business. And so I had the intention of designing my life this way, and especially when I became a mother. So I had become a certified yoga therapist, and that's my background in yoga therapy, Eastern medicine, and holistic wellness, and opened up my yoga studio and wellness center. And after 5+ years, I enjoyed it, but I was still working like I was in the corporate world, working long hours as an entrepreneur, because that was my baby, at that time. And it was brick and mortar, so it has different aspects than online businesses. And once I was pregnant, and I mean, even before that, I was like, I need to start working in a different way. But especially as my daughter being a catalyst for transformation, I was like, I want to work part-time. And honestly, I have since she was born. And even further on, like, I just want to work a few hours a day. And so how do I work smarter and not harder, which is a belief that I was raised with, that, you have to work hard and put in long hours. And I know I'm not alone in this, in order to be successful and make the money and the results and things like that. And I had to work through that belief. And I even remember family saying, your idea to write a book and work for yourself and, well, especially to move, that's unrealistic. And it's like, actually, a lot of people do that, just not you guys. So, I mean,
right.
But I had to listen to my heart. And, after I sold my business, knowing I didn't want a brick and mortar anymore. Like, I had the experience. I loved having the beautiful space, because it was really bringing my creation and my vision to life within that space.
Yeah.
But it was just time. I was going into a new chapter in my life. So I started doing some freelance, and within 6 weeks, I had 8 clients. So suddenly I had a new digital marketing business. And
wow.
Yeah, and that's just kind of how things happen when I put energy and focused attention. And not scattered everywhere or pulling myself, burning the candle at both ends or spreading myself too thin. And so then, while the business sold, I could work part-time how I wanted to, and structuring it in a way that I wasn't doing everything, of course. But then I got to the point where, I think 12 hours a week sounds great. A few hours a day, how do I juggle being a mom of a toddler? She's now a toddler. And she was 6 months when the pandemic started and everything. So it was like, how do I juggle all of this? Because it's exhausting. And, and so that's when it was like, no, I really want to work less, have time with her, have time for me, and really change the paradigm, especially as a mother and a woman, of having to work in the same way to get somewhere. And when I knew lots of people were doing that too. And I've listened to certain entrepreneurs like, oh yeah, I have 5 kids and I'm working 3 hours a day. And because of the way we structured our businesses. And I was like, that's what I want. And one of the reasons we moved to Mexico was to have support so I could also do that.
Oh, do you have family there?
No, I have nannies and a housekeeper now.
Yes.
They are like family, actually.
Overseas living is, I'm trying to tell people, they just don't understand. I've been living here in China for 5 years. It's the cost of living just makes you not want to return to the States. They don't understand. I'm trying to tell you.
Exactly. So you get it. The quality of life I have is so much better, especially as a single mother. And so it's like, and I have people I can trust and rely on, and my family's great, but a lot of the typical kind of American way of life is you're in your silos. And unfortunately, that's how it's become over time. And so it's very different. So there's a lot of reasons, but yes, designed my businesses in a way so that I could have the time, because especially they're only young ones. And so, and I have friends who are working full time all day and coming home with the kid, and I'm like, I don't want that. It's enough. So then I wanted to work from anywhere.
Yeah, well, that you're definitely doing. But okay, so you mentioned the design of your business and the structure of the businesses that the coaches you listened to had. Let's talk about this design. Let's talk about the structure. What does it look like?
Sure.
What does the actual, I guess, the digital business look like? And then, what does your schedule look like?
Sure.
Tell us all the details.
Sure. So I knew I wanted to be online to have that freedom, just like, you have as well, to work from anywhere, to be that digital nomad life, but also to have time and not be constantly cramming things in. So, and I've had to play with it and let my schedule evolve. And then of course, because I have a child, I have to work with, when I have nannies and that sort of stuff. But it's definitely more flexible now that I've been in Mexico, but it was very similar in the US. I just didn't really have a social life either. And now I kind of do. So I actually don't start my day until 9:30, 10 really, because I kind of give myself a half hour. I mean, we're up early, but I have time to actually have breakfast and coffee and all of that without rushing and being a crazy person. And that seems to work well. And so I have childcare, not all day, just 4 hours a day. And that allows me to do some work, go meet people for coffee, go work in a cafe if I want to. I like to do that a lot, write or read. And then it's nap time. This is kind of the day. And then I'll talk about the design and structure. Then it's nap time. And sometimes I nap as well, which is nice. And, and then, which I might today. And then it's, wake up and there's a little time. Sometimes we'll go do some things together. So with my daughter, or I'll use that time to catch up on something I need to. I try to not, because I can tell the difference in focused attention time for my daughter versus, working time and not being as present. And then it's dinner time and I try to turn my phone off by dinner time so that I have focused attention. So I turn it off until my nanny gets here, and then I actually turn it off at dinner. Now, I will say I am not perfect at that, but that is my intention, to remain present and for me as well, so that I'm not just scrolling whatever when I have any downtime. I'm actually focused, writing out and that could be inspiration and planning for my business, or it can just be some self-care kind of time. So allowing for that. I think it's very important to keep me sane, to keep everyone sane. But the intention and design of the business, so my digital marketing business is separate, even though I interweave some of it into my coaching business if people need some things. But I outsource a lot of the projects. I am technical minded as well as creative. So, and I enjoy the business coaching and strategy the most. And so while I implement some things, like if I'm doing SEO for someone, I actually have a team in Colorado, and we use a white label service for them. So they'll do things under my name. And so that's a strategy that people can use so they don't have to do everything themselves. And I will do some things. I can do landing pages and all the technical things, but that's not what I love to do. That really lights me up. So I outsource, and I have a virtual assistant in Venezuela. I use a group that it's a nonprofit that pairs virtual assistants or web designers across the globe with coaches or any type of entrepreneur for a nice rate, because they typically make $3 a day. So then they can make a lot more.
I'm sorry, what? Did you say $3 a day or $3 an hour?
$3. Well, they typically make $3 a day, the average salary, but not as a VA. So this nonprofit helps them to make more, like $3, $4, $5 an hour instead of per day. So like for example, my assistant in Venezuela, she worked at a store before down the street before using her marketing skills and admin skills. And her average salary was, maybe $10 a week, US dollars. But now she's able to go to university. She's studying psychology. She's sending money to her father who lives 4 hours away. So it's a win-win, and I'm happy to share and support that organization with anybody out there.
That's awesome.
And I really love the win-win stuff.
Over the period of the past few years, has it ever been a time where you were just like, you know what, this is too much. I'm going to quit. Like, have you ever encountered an issue, a problem that was so big that you just decided, you know what, I'm going to quit, even though you didn't quit?
Sure. No, of course. I mean, that's the entrepreneurial way of life, like the ups and downs and the highs and lows and that sort of stuff. There was a time, it was before, let's see, when exactly was it? Was it while I was doing the digital marketing or right before I started that? And I was like, maybe I should just go work, corporate or full-time again. And I considered it was really quick. And I was like, no, man, I don't want anybody to check that I made it on time at 8:30. I really like this flexibility in my life. It's in my blood. And I just had to shift my energy and focus into, and then that I think it was before I started the digital marketing company. I looked at some marketing gigs and even applied partly because then you have insurance and then you have blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Then I was like, no, that's just not me. And I also I look at my father or other people, and a corporate job is not security.
Yeah.
Because they have to, I say my father because he's been laid off twice. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. And once you're older, he was laid off like in his 50s and 60s. And once you're older, like there is some ageism that goes on.
Yes.
And so I was like, I might as well follow my heart and keep going. And so I did. And here I am. You just keep going.
That's awesome. I love it. So let's get into the specifics of this digital marketing business. Like how when you first started, like, how did you find your clients? Or did they find you?
Honestly, I just started on Upwork. I was doing some freelance stuff on Upwork.
Yeah.
And but what I did with my profile was I created a video in my home, so they knew I was real, because there's scams that happen. I, filled out my profile and everything. People really liked the video and testimonials and anything like I could add in there. And I targeted people because I like working with conscious and spiritual entrepreneurs. I targeted holistic or wellness-minded or very conscious-minded coaches, entrepreneurs, and that sort of stuff because I understood their business. So that's really how the digital marketing company got built. And then after that, so like I mentioned, I had 8 clients within 6 weeks. And it was just putting energy and intention, putting out proposals, creating my profile, making sure that I had the video because people like that a lot. And then, doing those discovery calls and going forward from there. And I also put the intention out because I'm really big about making sure I take time to meditate and put intentions out. I only wanted clients who, valued me and really wanted to work with me and who I enjoyed working with. And so, I wasn't just doing anything. I was so picky. But like I said, suddenly I had a company and I was like, I should probably name it and buy a website and have a page up so I could refer beyond there. And then, and what I would do is somebody would give me a testimonial. I'd put it on my personal Facebook page and share what I was doing. And then I'd get all other work as well. In fact, that recently happened. I just got added to the faculty for an advanced yoga therapy training for business development because I had put something out saying, here's a testimonial from someone and about working with me for coaching. And someone the main teacher was having oral surgery and needed someone to fill in. And she had been looking and I posted and it was the right synchronicity. So definitely share what's going on in your life because it has worked for me.
I love it. So then what advice would you give to young millennial entrepreneurs who are about to start a business or who are considering, to live in that digital nomad life, but they want to be able to do it on their own terms. They want to be able to do it where they're building their own business so that they could eventually leave a legacy. What advice would you give them in terms of, getting started, getting going and staying going?
Sure. Whatever that idea is, for that business, and really focusing the energy there, even if you have, part-time, full-time job, and this is at first a side hustle, or you have all the time in the world to put towards this business, actually really getting focused. And it doesn't mean you have to have this huge business plan. I certainly didn't have a business plan for the digital marketing business. I did for the Wellness Center, but it was just more of, I'm going to do this. I enjoy doing this. I have an intention to do this, and I'm going to put my energy there. The same with my business coaching. Once I decided, what was happening was people were coming to me asking to work with me to help them birth their business. So rather than just intuitive one-on-one coaching, like I had worked with a yoga therapist before. And I was like, well, I'm going to follow those signs and actually flow with it and go with it. So Well, and I guess that would be part of my advice too, is if you have a business idea, follow it, put the energy into it and the focus, but also be open to the things that are easy and flowing and coming your way, and be willing to pivot if needed. So it's in my world, I call it like a balance of the feminine and masculine energy. And so you have the action, you're taking action, you're not expecting everything to just fall in your lap. Right. And you're taking the right actions, you're doing, whatever, because everybody's going to have a different business model, and then putting it online. So whether it was using Upwork as a tool or sharing, the examples I sharing on Facebook. I don't do a lot of social media. So okay. I have it there, but actually a lot of things I've used my network, just like the Facebook one, which is social media, but that was my personal page. And my network, and have affiliate programs for referrals. So it's really a referral program, whether it's for one-on-one clients or my group programs, like really leverage your network. And be open to what comes your way, the opportunities. I certainly wasn't seeking to be a faculty member, but I loved it. I loved teaching the group, and they loved me, and it was just the perfect thing. But I was open to it, and it came in, and now I'll be working with them once a month, and it fits into my business model. So that's awesome. Yeah, and if you feel like you're running up to something, like, it doesn't mean that there's never challenges, but if the door's always closed, then it might be time to pivot.
Wow. So how do you have the courage to pivot? Because people know the signs. Most times we know the signs, but just because we see the signs doesn't mean that we actually do the action, So So how do you get that courage to pivot?
Yeah, well, that's why I talk about entrepreneurship is a deep excavation of your soul, because we are the ones who get in the way of our business being successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if we see the signs, we really need to have regular practices where we tune in and get out of our head and into our heart. And that will help us know when to pivot, to listen when the universe is like, hey, that's not where you're supposed to go. You're going to lose all your money, that sort of stuff. And you start to tune in, and it may not happen in that instant, but within a couple days, usually it's like, oh, there's clarity. I know what to do now. So whether that's meditation, yoga, qigong, anything that's more of a mind-body practice, that gets you out of your head and into your, I go tango dancing. And that actually helps me the most, because I have to be in my body. And if I'm in my head, like I just lose steps and everything. But you have to be connected with someone and connected to yourself. So that's one of the things I do. And I do that twice a week, plus yoga and meditation and that sort of stuff. So so I really highly recommend that. So that really helps, because when we're up here, we may see the signs, but we won't have clarity to know where to go.
I love it. So what are some of the best practices that you currently implement in your digital business?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll kind of talk from, getting leads and converting to clients, and kind of how
I think that's the biggest one. To be honest, I think that's the biggest one, is like getting leads or starting out, because now, you've made the move to Mexico, like you're doing it. And so how do you, in terms of operations, like how do you plan to keep it going, allowing you to live that life of your dreams?
Well, currently, and I'll talk about the structure part, because I enjoy the coaching and strategy more, I've been shifting focus there, like paring down my digital marketing clients and starting to like only bring on ones who I can outsource through the white label service. And I also have a white label search engine marketing that I use in California as well. And starting to kind of pivot, like there's certain clients I pared down to the ones I enjoy, the ones that light you up, that don't drain you. And then shifted my energy to my program, my online programs and business coaching in more of the strategy level, because that's what I enjoy spending my hours on. So I'm actually in the middle of doing that. But for even both businesses are, it's kind of all one. One's kind of done for you and one's more the coaching and strategy. But getting leads, like I said, I had used Upwork in the beginning for digital marketing. I don't use that very much anymore, although I could. It's there. And I would suggest, anyone who's looking to start to build clients. I mean, Upwork wouldn't like this, but most of the clients work with me offline. I always give them the choice whether, they feel confident or not. And I just had a client who I did some email automation with on Upwork. She loved that I was in Mexico, and she happened to be here with her boyfriend this week. So we went and had breakfast, and I got to meet her face to face. So, so yeah,
I love it.
So,
I love it.
like that, it's a tool. It's not everything, but it's still a tool that you can use. I wouldn't rule it out. And so, and a lot of my clients will come in through referrals now and that sort of stuff. But that's in the beginning, the digital marketing business was built with Upwork. And so, and then I found great people to outsource to. It is sort of sometimes finding a needle in a haystack sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if you find the right people, it really works well, and to have people to outsource to. And then of course I have my virtual assistant, but bringing leads in, because I don't do any Facebook ads for digital marketing. I don't do paid ad campaigns or anything like that. It's all referrals and Upwork. And and then for my coaching programs, I use affiliate marketing for that, or referral marketing. I give 20%. Some people give up to 50%. I think that's like the standard if you're like the top people in the world doing that. But 20% feels good to me. And then so I have other people marketing my programs and my one-on-ones, and partnering with delivering workshops with yoga studios who have teacher trainings, because a lot of my people are holistic minded and they're wanting to build their own business, or partnering with coaching organizations. They graduate as a health coach, and they get a little information, but like I have real world experience as an entrepreneur and can take them from here to here. So those are the ways that I get leads without doing Instagram reels every day. It doesn't mean I never do an Instagram reel, but I don't spend all my time planning a month of content. And when I have a bigger team, maybe I'll do that. But I don't feel like doing that right now.
Time consuming, that's for sure. But it's time consuming, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's time consuming, and it doesn't always have the greatest ROI.
True.
So I try to use strategies that deliver a better return on my investment, on my time investment and my money investment.
I love it.
So I try to lead those, whether it's direct to a sale, but a lot of times I do a 20-minute discovery call, or sometimes I call it a strategy call. And it's not a sales call because I educate. I don't just sell. I don't expect a sale. I educate. So if it's for digital marketing services or coaching programs, the same thing. What do you need? What are your issues? And, here's how I can help you. If it's digital marketing, it's like, okay, well, I'll get you a proposal, and then we'll either get on a call to discuss the proposal or just give me feedback via email. If it's for my business coaching or programs, it's more like, okay, like I had someone recently, I really would like to build, my soul-based business, but I don't know how. And I want to move from being a teacher into actually using all these holistic wellness skills. And it's like, okay, well, here's how, I have this program where we can do one-on-ones, and this is how you'll do it. And then, you decide, here's the information. I don't expect to close a sale. Sometimes I do. And that's how I did it at the Wellness Center as well. I would always offer 20-minute discovery calls. And I would say, we have group yoga, because not everybody can do one-on-ones. I have programs to work with me, that sort of stuff. And then I would just have a follow-up process. And that's how, because you build trust and you build a relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it. Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us because, and I'm sure that there's someone here, probably more than one person. They're like, listen, it's about time for me to launch out, do my own thing. I just don't know how to start or where do I find the people and all of that. So, if you're out there, if you are listening right now or watching the video version, she just gave you a ton of answers, and she even mentioned Upwork so much, like 𝑈PWORK.com. Go check it out. I can make sure that I put the link in the show notes and in the description box. And I personally haven't worked with Upwork, but I have worked with Fiverr.
Oh, yeah.
Fiverr is one of the, I've actually been working with Fiverr since 2012. And for like a little while, I switched gears from being a seller on Fiverr to a buyer. And part of the whole, like, outsourcing thing. But like there are ways. And so she just shared a ton of them with you now. And is there any other thing, before I ask you my final question, my special question, is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience about creating that dream business, that makes you feel like you're truly living out your purpose?
It always comes back to keep following your heart, because what I see, especially with my background in yoga therapy and Eastern medicine, is if we are not following our heart, our body will tell us, like we'll end up physical symptoms, anxiety, depression, that sort of stuff, because we're not living out our purpose, our divine purpose. And so we are being called somewhere for a reason, or called to something for a reason. And it might be like, I've reinvented myself several times. Like so I just follow where I'm led. And I even resisted the business coaching, even though I love it. But I didn't want to do it in the, I'm going to help you get six figures way, which I see all the time. I wanted to do it in a very authentic way. I mean, I'll help you get six figures if you want it, but that's not going to be my marketing, because that's not me. It's more about that really coming back to yourself and following your divine purpose. But yes, listen, and there are ways. I just told someone the other day, her daughter wants to open a brick and mortar, got turned down by banks, even though she had great credit. And I said, there's micro lending programs and small business organizations that will help you. They helped me. And so there's a way, if you're determined to get there, and just keep going and keep following. Don't ignore that urge and that call.
I love it. Okay, here's my special question that I ask every guest that comes to the Leaders Lab. What is the one characteristic, the most important characteristic that you believe every leader should have?
I think integrity. Leading with integrity. And knowing you may not be perfect. You have your own stuff. You have your chaos days, and you have your great when you're on days, but you are leading with integrity. And I think that is the most important, because people will feel that and sense that from you, whether it's online, or in person.
Absolutely. People can tell when you're not authentic. They can tell when you're not the real deal. They can tell. They can absolutely tell. Speaking of tells, that's like the worst transition ever. Y'all, I tried. I really did. I'm like, speaking of tells. No, ma'am, let's not do that. Tell the audience, tell our listeners, what's the best way for them to contact you? How can they connect with you?
Sure. Really, you can DM me on Instagram or Facebook on my pages, or my email is hello@AlyssaPfennig.com. You've got my website right up there. So that's really easy to connect with me, and I answer all of those. So even though I'm not like active every day on social media, I check my messages.
Okay.
And my email. Good. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, listen, Entreleaders, I hope now for those of you who are just listening to the audio version of this, and you're wondering, okay, well, where's the details? I can't see it. Don't worry. Check the show notes, because I got you covered. You can find out all the details and information about Alyssa Pfennig right there. And also, if you're watching the video version, check in the description box below. You can find out all her details right there as well so that you can connect, pick her brain, talk to her about becoming a new client. And let's help you build and create a business that you love, a digital company, whatever it is, so that you can live the life of your dreams. And again, Alyssa, I want to say thank you so much for being in the Leaders Lab with us on today, dear.
Thank you so much, Dr. C. I really appreciate you having me on.
It's my pleasure. And listen, Entreleaders, this is what we're doing. For the rest of the year, we are bringing you powerful entrepreneurs who are living the dream for themselves, and they're basically pouring motivation and inspiration into us to continue to do the same. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure that you subscribe to the Leaders Lab podcast. If you're on the YouTube channel, please subscribe to Dr. Charity TV. For the podcast, audio podcast, download today's episode, rate, comment, and share all over the place. Share, so we can continue reaching millennial entreleaders all across the globe. And don't forget that you can connect with me. I invite you to connect with me everywhere on social media with the handle at Dr. Charity TV. Don't forget that you can also, if you are interested in being a guest for season 3, or if you want to leave a testimonial, let me put my email address up here. If you want to leave a testimonial about, something that you heard on the podcast and you're just like, wow, this was really great, or it helped me in this way, let us know so I can share it with my guests as well. Because it feels good to know that the labor is not in vain. It feels good to know that what we produce and what we share and the valuable content that we try to make sure we get to you is received and that it's applicable to you. So I do want to say thank you so much once again for tuning into the Leaders Lab podcast, and I will catch you all next week in the lab.
Thank you for listening to the Leaders Lab podcast. Visit our website at www.drcharitytv.com.